Hi everyone, so I'm just going to start now. Welcome along to this webinar and happy International Women's Day for yesterday. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited for the people we have joining us today to speak. It's going to be really cool. So just a little bit, sorry, I need to get to the next slide. So first we have acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge that I have a timer, I didn't realise, the Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first inhabitants of Australia, and same with New Zealand and Māori people here. So that's the first thing. Okay, so for those who are joining that don't know a lot about ITE, oh, I'm so sorry about that timer, I need to sort that out. We have, so even though it's called ITE, it's a group of transportation professionals, so planners, urban designers, engineers, or everything that comes under transportation. So the main group is based in North America, so Canada and the US, but there's also part of the global district is Australia and New Zealand, and we're also in 75 different countries. So pretty cool, pretty big group, and there's a lot of knowledge to learn from all the different members, and yeah, so lots of events going on. And look what we have here. For transportation planners at the moment, we are giving out free memberships, and then second year is half price, just for you to give it a go. They've sort of realized that people see ITE, so Institute of Transport Engineers, and don't know that planners are able to join. So we're trying to attract more planners. So if you're a planner, you can contact me or just follow this website link down the bottom, and you can join for free. So that's really exciting. You can go to webinars like this. There's you can join all the webinars in the States and Canada that happen, and there's heaps of those. Like I went to a couple last week and they were really awesome. And we've got different booklets, that kind of stuff. So it's a great interest group to join if you'd like, and it's free for the first year. So what do you have to lose? So we'd just like to thank our sponsors. So our platinum sponsor, Austraffic, Terrific Works sponsors our student award. We've got Sidra, who sponsors our President's Dinner and Postgraduate Awards, and then we have O'Brien Traffic and Movement in Place Consulting as well, who are supported. So we really thank them. So today's presenters. So this is the International Women's Day panel, and we have four incredible women here to talk to us today. So we have Tiffany Robertson, who works at Auckland Transport. She's a senior active mode specialist. We have Lisa Steinmetz, who's a senior traffic engineer at O'Brien Traffic. We have Cassie Min, who's a lead precinct transport advisor at the Department of Transport and Planning in Victoria. And then we have Harriet Glenn, who is the program director at Auckland Transport. So it's going to be a great lineup of people. Just a bit of housekeeping. So I know that you'll have a million questions because I already have 10 in my head. So please make sure you remain on mute. I think that you're automatically on mute anyway. And then if you have any questions, you can send them. There is a question and answer box, but we will still read them if you put them in the chat. Don't worry about it. And just as you go, just add them. And if you want to direct it to a particular person, do that, and I can ask them at the end. But we'll do all the presentations, and then we'll have the Q&A at the end. And so we're going to go on to our presentations now. And then the question answer section. So Harriet, take away.
Awesome, kia ora. Thank you so much, Maddie. I am just putting up my presentation, bear with me. Hopefully it's not on a timer. Here we go, that should work now. Fantastic. All right, kia ora everyone, and happy International Women's Day 2023 plus one day. I hope you all celebrated in style yesterday for those who are in kind of Australasia. And for those in America, I think well, if anyone's dialing in from America, I'm not sure there will be, but it'll still be International Women's Day, won't it? Yeah. So yeah, happy International Women's Day to you. So I'm just going to run through a bit about me and then share some tips, some of my thoughts as well on equity and equality, and then I'll hand over to Lisa as our next speaker. So to start, I'm Harriet Glenn, as Maddie outlined. I'm a program director here at Auckland Transport. I actually moved from the UK 18 months ago from Transport for London, where I worked for just over a decade. and I was here in the top right, very heavily involved in the closeout of Crossrail, so the latest tube line in London. So anyone who's been to London recently, hopefully would have gone on the Purple Line, the Lizzie Line, the Elizabeth Line. That's where I immersed myself for the last kind of 3 years or so when I was in London. And over here, I'm pleased to say that it's kind of a different world in that we're campaigning for public transport and transport changes within Auckland, and it's actually really exciting to be in that space, considering that London's so established and Auckland's kind of just at the start of the journey, really. So I've absolutely loved my time here so far. And what I wanted to do with this slide is just to give my background professionally, but also just to say, hey, we're not all working robots. We also have lives, and outside of work, I'm also a keen marathon runner, and that's me in the London Marathon a few years ago, and a scuba diver. So I was in Australia last month for the first time, and saw some big sharks around there. So all very exciting. But I would say as well, just key messages for all the women out there in what is a very male-dominated industry in transport. There's a few things I've learned in my career so far, and these are the 3 things here on the screen. Super important to always follow your passions inside and outside of work, because ultimately it's not about the end point, it's kind of how you get there. And I think for me it's really important to enjoy what you do, because no matter what path you follow, there will always be challenges and setbacks. So if you're following what you enjoy, it's going to be a much better way of doing things, essentially. Always back yourself. I think that's really important, particularly in our industry, when we are essentially a minority. So I think it's really important to back yourself, back your opinions, back your ambition, and also back each other. And that leads on to my 3rd point, which is build an amazing support group wherever you are in the world. I think we can all support the idea that any advances we have in our career and all the work that we do isn't done in isolation. And I, for one, can attribute, the progress I've made in my career so far to lots of amazing women and men who've really supported me even to this day. So I think it's really key that we all focus on that on International Women's Day as well. And here's a bit of a window. Oh, is it not sharing? Oh, mine's sharing.
Stop sharing and then reshare.
Oh. Okay, yeah, well, I'm just going to reshare again. I'll escape from that. I think we've had a bit of a tech issue, perhaps, from our side. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this works now. Does that work? Yeah, awesome. Maybe that's not working. Hey, at least you can see a slide. We'll crack on. So this is a snippet of an International Women's Day campaign that we did back in London, where I was kind of chair of the Women's Network at Transport for London for a number of years. And this was fantastic, actually, in terms of highlighting the amazing women we have across the business publicly for the first time. And then this year as well, we actually got a flag up Parliament, and we had the Deputy Prime Minister kind of declare the importance of gender equality within the transport infrastructure industry. So we're doing a lot, and I think in this space it's really important to showcase the amazing work that we do, to not be too humble, to big each other up, and to normalize the fact that women can do amazing things in transport and infrastructure, and also get political support, because it really helps raise the profile of what we do. And I know that we're doing amazing things in ITE and also across New Zealand in this space, which is really cool. Yeah, awesome. Nice. And in terms of my thoughts on equality and equity, obviously the theme this year of International Women's Day is all around this theme. For me, I think equality is about sameness and giving people, equal opportunities, which is great. But you can't have equality without equity. And equity is about fairness. Equity is about realizing that not everyone is at the level playing field to start with. So we do need to treat people slightly differently in order to reach equality. And as we know, we've got a very low base of women in transport at the moment. I think within the UK, at least, it was 20% overall of women in the industry, but even less for transport engineers. I think it was about 4 or 5%. And I think it's very similar within New Zealand, where we are now, and probably similar in Australia. And so there's a long way to go to kind of fight for that representation. And to also look at wider equity lenses like the gender pay gap, which does exist. And in New Zealand, I think that's about 10% at the moment, and not really budging. So there's got to be a larger conversation about how we can make our industry fit for purpose and work for everyone, including women. And finally, just on a lighter note, I was going to finish with Ryan Gosling because I just wanted to shout out that it is very important to also have male allies along the way, or just allies in general, but particularly men. They need to be brought into this conversation. We need to have people calling out certain barriers that they face, and also educate everyone around us. And they do make up the majority of our industry, so it's really important we bring amazing men with us as well on this journey. So yeah, thank you, Ryan Gosling. All right, that's all from me. I'll hand it back to Maddie.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Ryan Gosling. Always thanking Ryan Gosling. Okay, our next speaker we have for you today is Cassie, and I will just quickly share her slides. Thank you so much, Harriet. You are amazing, and you know that I've told you that a million times. So, sorry, I'll just quickly share the screen, and then we'll get Cassie to take it away. Ooh.
Cool, thanks, Maddie.
There we go. Okay, cool, perfect. Thank you.
Before I begin, I'll just start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I'm speaking from today. So I'm on the land of the Wurrung people, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. Thank you for letting me to speak with you guys today. Happy International Women's Day for yesterday, and I'm really glad to be part of this panel. So a little bit about me, I'm Cassie Min, and I currently work at the Department of Transport and Planning in Victoria in the role as Lead Precinct's Transport Advice. So in the next few moments, I'm probably just going to talk a lot about myself and my journey and how I ended up working in the transport industry, and I guess some of my experiences as a woman in the sector. And then I'll talk about what embrace equity means to me. So starting from the very beginning, I was born in New Zealand, so in Christchurch, and my parents are Chinese, and I grew up predominantly in Australia. So that means growing up, I was lucky to experience the intersection of two cultures, embracing predominantly Chinese culture at home with my family, especially when I was younger, and then Australian culture outside of home. In school, I liked a lot of subjects. So I was quite good at maths and enjoyed physics and geography, and also loved creative subjects like music and art. But then when it came to my final year in school, deciding a university course was quite challenging. I couldn't pick one, so I picked two, pursuing degrees in engineering and architecture at Monash. So while in university, I didn't really know much about transport at all. So my initial interest to transport was really sparked when I was completing a semester abroad at the Technical University of Denmark in Copenhagen. So prior to that, I'd also not really been a bike rider. But living in Copenhagen, cycling was really, really cool. Everyone's cycling, and it became quickly my primary form of travel. So there I had a lovely white bike. You can see it in the photo, in one of the many photos in this slide. But essentially I would use that bike to get me to my classes, to the train station, to get groceries, and it was super, super handy. And most of those journeys were almost entirely on separated bike lanes, sort of like that picture below, which made me feel really, really safe as well. So during my time in Copenhagen, I think it was really the first time that I started to really notice our transport network and how different transport networks can impact on how a city functions, and how the built environment can inform how easily people get around and influence their mood choices as well. And when I arrived home in Melbourne, although I had a new appreciation for cycling, it was really not long after my mood choices changed back to my old ways, and my primary form of travel was no longer cycling. And that really got me thinking, what are the factors that influence my decision, and why were they so different based on location? And this thinking also ignited my curiosity to discover and learn more about transport planning. And I guess a plus side, I was already doing engineering and there were transport electives available for me. So towards the second half of my degree, I really lent into the traffic engineering and transport planning electives available. And after I graduated, I worked at a consulting firm as a transport planner. And in this role, I was really fortunate to work on a variety of strategy development and city shaping projects across Australia. And this included the development of integrated transport plans, network operating frameworks, movement in place assessments, traffic impact assessments, and business cases. And recently, I've joined the Department of Transport and Planning in the role of the lead precinct's transport advice. And underpinning a lot of the work that we do at DTP is how we can just deliver simple, safe, and connected journeys for all Victorians. So in my role, I look at this for our existing and future precincts and work collaboratively with others to develop solutions that achieve coordinated networks and integrated transport and land use outcomes. In terms of my career so far, I am so glad that I chose to study engineering, which led me to joining the transport sector. I know that engineering and transport are predominantly male-dominated sectors, but I find that I get to do really interesting work. It keeps me excited, excited to come to work, and it makes me feel really grateful that I get to work on developing solutions that contribute to a positive outcome for our community. And so with that in mind, I'm not really sure who the audience is for this call, but I guess I remember coming to these sessions when I was in university. So if there is anyone in university, I would recommend that you really consider a career in transport. In terms of the teams I've worked with in the workforce, I feel like I've been really fortunate as well to work in supportive environments where I feel welcomed, empowered to learn, and my gender has never really felt like a barrier to opportunities. I would attribute a lot of these benefits, though, that I've felt working as a woman in the transport sector are a result of the massive strides we've made in gender equality within this industry in recent years and decades. But with that, I think there is still more work to do and progress to be done. So next slide, please, Maddie. So I guess this year, the International Women's Day theme is Embrace Equity. To me, when I think of Embrace Equity from a transport professional perspective, there's quite a few things I think about. You've already seen a very similar image in Harriet's slides before about equality and equity, but I guess essentially the first image is really showing equality, giving everyone the same support. However, that's assuming that everyone will benefit from the same supports and they're being treated equally. However, not everyone can see the game. And then equity means appreciating people's unique needs. And in that second image, individuals are given different supports to make it possible for them to have equal access to the game, and they're being treated equitably. So from a environment point of view, to me, it means ensuring that we create a culture where everyone, regardless of our gender, background, or circumstances, feels welcome. Our voices are heard and we can bring our full selves to work. And it's really about celebrating diversity and valuing each person's unique inputs and perspectives. And then secondly, I also think we can apply the principles of Embrace Equity to how we design our transport networks to be safe and accessible for all users. I think women and men, we experience the world differently and typically also have different travel patterns. So for example, in Melbourne, more men are likely to have direct point-to-point journeys and to work in the city centre, which is well serviced by public transport. On the other hand, women tend to have more complex journeys. So there will be a combination of school and childcare drop-offs, caring commitments, and household responsibilities such as grocery shopping. And they're also more likely to work in middle to outer metropolitan areas in Melbourne where public transport access is more limited. And also aspects such as crime, antisocial behaviour and harassment may also deter more women from using public transport at certain times of the day and in different areas as well. So therefore, I think in our work in transport, we should be considering transport equity and incorporating an equity lens to our plans, policies, and projects as well. That takes into account the different users we have in our network and considering factors such as gender, age, background, disability, and income. And this way, we can be better equipped to create transport alternatives that service our community fairly and enhance accessibility for everyone. So that is a bit of a summary of myself and also just a bit of my thoughts on this year's International Women's Day theme. And thank you. I'll pass it back to Maddie.
Thank you so much, Cassie. That was awesome. It's great to hear. I love that you're from New Zealand.
Yeah, there's a lot of New Zealanders on this call.
Yeah. No, that was so awesome. Thank you so much. So if anyone I'll just encourage people, if you've got questions, just pop them in the question and answer box or the chat. Yeah, so we'll go next. We have the lovely Tiffany, and she will be joining now.
Thank you, Maddie, and thank you to the presenters that have come before me. That was really awesome to hear everyone's experience, and I feel like we're kind of all touching on some of the similar things about equity and around just being who we are as women in this space. And excuse me, I just want to say that Harriet and Maddie, we're all in the same room. So if we're looking at each other, that's why we're not being, yeah. So I am going to, just like Cassie, basically just given an intro of myself and just kind of where I've been in this space and yeah, and do it as such. So sorry about this. Can you see, you're seeing my Canvas screen, aren't you? Yeah. So yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it like that and see how we go. There we go. All right. Cool. So I am a bit light in what I like to share. So get to know me a little bit. They do call me to fancy because I do tend to dress up a bit. So this presentation is going to be about me, where I've been in the space of transportation, how I've got here. I am a planner by trade, so I have infiltrated the engineering space. Nice to know that you do have opportunities for planners to be involved. But I will also say that there may be times where I get a bit personal in this presentation. So trigger warning for folks that there may be some references to sexual assault. So just want to put that out there from now. So I am from, as you may have, I am in New Zealand. However, you may have heard an accent. I am originally from Yonkers, New York. That's where I was born. I am first generation American. The rest of my family hails from the lovely island of Jamaica. And fun fact, where we lived in Yonkers, we lived just up the street from the lovely serial killer Son of Sam. And that is the reason why I never actually was allowed to really go outside, and I never learned how to ride a bike until I was way older. So blame it on him. But I'm glad that I have learned, and I have a lovely e-trike now. So I moved here sight unseen. It'll be actually almost 5 years in September. So yeah, and I really have enjoyed being here. I was able to come here under the skilled migrant visa from urban planning. When I first got here, I don't know why people are so interested in people that are coming from LA or New York, but I did get a nice little write-up from Tataki Auckland Unlimited. If you're interested, you can go check it out. But really just kind of detailing my journey. When I first came here, I worked for an engineering firm. I currently work for Auckland Transport. I've been here for almost 3 years, or actually 3 years now. So yeah, it's been a very interesting journey along the way. And I think that really identifying my why for why I do this is because truly my independence has come from me being on foot. Where I grew up, public transport was the thing. We have a really integrated public transport network, and I have been taking public transport since I was 9. And the reason for that is I live right outside of the borders for the school bus to take me. So essentially I had to take the public transport bus to school, and then I would walk home those 2 miles. Sorry, I didn't convert that to kilometers. But I didn't actually get my license until I was 23. And the only reason why I got the license is because where my family moved was because we moved over a bridge, separated to a county separated by water and a bridge, and had no other option. So yeah, I like to say it sounds quite familiar if you live in Auckland. But another reason for the why is truly, I remember growing up and just seeing empty houses and being like, wow, why are there empty houses? Why can't we just put the homeless people in those empty houses? So I've always grown up with a strong sense of community, a strong sense of wanting to do something in the community. I went to Boston University thinking, I'm going to do this political science thing, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to be in politics, my local politics. I soon realized that is not what I want to do. But one of the things that really, I think, kind of cemented me on this way is waiting for a bus one night in Boston. And it was so cold. And if you are familiar with, the busing system here, there may be some issues currently. But that particular night, the bus just never came, and it was snowing and it was just freezing cold. And someone offered me a ride. And I took that ride. And unfortunately, that offer of the ride didn't end up being the offer that I thought it would be. And it ended up ending in an unprovoked sexual assault at knife point. And so I don't mention this to be salacious. I mention this because I want you to know, when you're planning for people, there are people who are walking around every day that have these stories and have these interactions with transport or non-transport that you just have no idea about. So just want to put it out there to just be considerate of your thinking. And when we talk about International Women's Day, the things that simply by going outside of their door, what women have to endure. And so when I talk about the planning that we do, even being a member of Women in Urbanism, all we want to do is be able to have women leave their door, enjoy their journey safely, and make it safely home. So that is my essential why. So the things that I do are pretty much rooted in that. And I make no bones about, yep, I want to be focused on women. We can have men come along, but if you take care of the women in your community, it takes care of everyone. So that is my why, and that is why I do the things that I do. I do have some proud career moments to bring it back up a bit. So from that history, from working, after that, I ended up working in a transport agency where it was a bit different. I actually sold sand barrels. There's sand in those yellow barrels, not water like in the movies. So sold those. Those were traffic impact attenuators. And then I realized, you know what, I don't want to do this. There's actually a career called planning. And so I started actually working for a county in New Jersey. Shout out to Jersey Shore. That's where it was. So started my career in public planning for a county, and then moved into the private sector for 7 years, really working on safe routes to school with a particular urban focus, and really taking a look at where the disparities were in that space between engineering and planning in those urban areas. And then I moved to LA. Started working for the lovely city of West Hollywood, then went back into consulting, and then went back to city of West Hollywood. So it's been a mix and a match, but all the time really focused on active modes, really focused on people and bringing the community together. So from that, just have had so many great highlights. One of them is doing not only the first time that we did employee bike share for the city of West Hollywood, but also being the citywide bike share coordinator for the city of West Hollywood. So there hasn't been one since, so I will always hold the title, which is great, but that's also because the bike share has now gone away, but that's okay. I will always hold that title. One of the other proud moments is actually creating and teaching a 10-week after school program called Neighborhood Navigators. This was in New Jersey, really teaching middle schoolers how to investigate their own neighborhood. What are the things that you see that could be fixed? And one of the things that they talked about was, hey, we'd love to have bike parking for our bikes. We have nowhere, we want to ride to school, but we have nowhere to park them. So actually doing that investigation, doing that audit, and having them present it to the principal, and the principal agreeing that when they do redo some areas that they would add some bike parking. So giving that, bringing that sense of importance to them was very important for me. And since I've been here presenting at just multiple conferences like the Two Walk and Cycle Conference, and then probably my last baby that I'm really proud of is not only developing, but project managing the city of Hoboken, New Jersey, their first bicycle and pedestrian plan. So really enjoyed doing those things. So I am currently at AT, and I have a why for that as well. I really just enjoy the projects that I'm doing. I enjoy the work that my team does. I'm in the sustainable mobility team. So we focus both on active modes and also travel demand. And it really just allows me to be the change that I want to see and encourage others to do the same. And I have an awesome team and fabulous work, Fano, that make it worthwhile. So when we talk about the embracing equity, I love the image that they've come up with this year, like hugging yourself, because it should start with you. And I've just kind of noted the different kind of tick marks of what people see me as. Black, woman, American migrant. Sometimes when I come into a space, I am all of these things. Sometimes I'm just one. When I was in America, I was pretty much just the woman, didn't have to worry about the other things so much all the time. But yeah, I put this here to recognize that, again, the ability, as others have touched on, the ability to walk into a space and be your whole self, and bring everything that you have with you into that space is really something that we should be encouraging people to do, whether it is the people that we are consulting with, the public that we consult with, the people that we work with, and just really being able to, embrace it, because it's part of what makes us all unique and part of what we're bringing to the projects that we do. So that is it for me. If you are curious, go to LinkedIn and check out some more. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I really appreciate you being so vulnerable. And yeah, it's really important to hear people's whys and drive home that idea that safety is such a big part of transport. And so really appreciate that. Our next speaker is Lisa. So Lisa, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me along and inviting me to join you today. I'm just sharing my screen. So a little bit about me. I'm Lisa Steinmetz, currently Senior Traffic Engineer at O'Brien Traffic, and I've got a little over 20 years experience in traffic and road safety engineering. But, what's that? How's that journey been so far? So my slides are, here we go. Here's an old photo of me. I graduated civil engineering in 2002 from Monash University. And sorry, I'm just finding my notes. And I guess stepping back before that, I started off playing with Lego, building. I was a kid that built little Lego cities, those little houses and little people running around, and definitely lots of roads. So I've been playing with roads my whole life. But yes, so I went to university and did engineering, and then I came out of university and spent a year in consulting, which was interesting, working for a range of different clients. And then I found my way to the Australian Road Research Board. And I spent almost 18 years there. I'd 17 years and 11 months. I just like to call it 18 years. And I contributed to and eventually managed research projects and provided expert advice in road safety engineering, traffic management and road design. And there was a whole range of, work that I was exposed to in that research space. There we go. And I found it was a great place for my early career because I could learn about, while I was in the road safety team, I could learn about the breadth of all the elements in the road transport system. So I learned a little bit about pavement design and bitumen chemistry and transport modelling and transport economics and heavy vehicles and the whole recipe that brings our whole transport system together. And also, while at ARB, I had an opportunity to work on nationally focused projects through contribution to a range of Austroads research projects and development of guidelines, and often worked with state road agencies. But there wasn't as much opportunity to work with local government. And over this time, I also had worked on a couple of projects that considered local government issues. And in particular, there was one that was about safe system roads for local government. And this became an area that I became really passionate about because while the local road network tends to carry significantly smaller traffic volumes than the state road networks, around half of casualties are on the local road network. And so that became an area that I became passionate about. So I moved on to O'Brien Traffic. And I've been with O'Brien Traffic for around 3.5 years now, and I've really had an opportunity to apply and build on the research knowledge that I gained through earlier parts of my career and really applied in a practical sense, particularly through traffic and road safety studies, evaluations for local government. And I find this practical focus in my current work really rewarding. I'm really passionate about road safety projects, but I think it's critical to think about that in the context of all of communities' needs, all of communities' transport needs. And so, thinking about safety in the context of mobility, amenity, accessibility, and environmental impact. And that's got a broader lens of who is in that space. And then that's got that it's got an equity aspect to it that, as Cassie was talking about earlier, and I'll come back to that as we progress through. But yeah, so it's really about my focus and my perspective is, transportation is an enabler. Transportation enables people to make the journeys that they want to. Whether that be going to school, for work, for shopping, for family or friends, it's about enabling people to live the lives that they want to. And, that's what we're here for in this transport sector. And why do I love engineering? Well, I'm sure it's the same for many of you. I love that it's dynamic. I love that, I'm fascinated about problem solving, and that problem solving is different for all the different projects that we're working on. And there's always new problems to consider and looking at them from different lenses and perspectives, and hopefully working collaboratively to solve those problems, and, being driven about delivering community solutions and connecting to the community. So that brings us to the theme of International Women's Day this year, which is embrace equity. And I've included this image, which I found on the International Women's Day website, because it's used a transport analogy, and I like a transport analogy. And here we can see, the difference between equality and equity. So in the top picture, everybody has been given the same opportunity. Everybody's been given the same bike, but is that really what they need? Is that considering everybody's needs to help them make their way through and make the choices that they want. So, you know, we need to consider what barriers prevent people's ability to thrive. And we need to seek solutions that account for the diverse lived experience of people, you know, individuals in our community, but also the differences and the diversity between communities. And I think that, you know, it's useful to keep that in mind in a professional sense in the work that we do, and also in a personal sense in how we conduct ourselves as professionals. So in the workplace sense, I think we need to ask, you know, I certainly ask myself these questions. Why does the proportion of female engineering graduates continue to be less than 20% of the engineering class? And more critically, from my perspective, how do we solve the high attrition rate for women in engineering, particularly after the age of 30? Why is this happening? Are we not supporting women to fulfill and continue their engineering career and journey as they might have commenced when they were young women, you know, eager and setting out? What's happening? And are we failing as a profession? Are we failing, you know, are we failing to support each other? Or is there something happening societally that is pulling people away? And the answer is probably a mixture of these things, but I think it's useful to reflect and then think, how can I contribute to helping women and everybody more generally fulfill their professional journey and, you know, contribute to their professional lives. And I think that while the pandemic certainly brought its challenges, there's been some opportunities. And so, you know, I like to think about that too. So workplaces that have embraced flexible work and working from home arrangements. And this is something that hasn't just benefited women, but all employees. So it might be helping people balance family and caregiving commitments, as well as, for instance, enabling people to continue to work from home if they're unwell or if they're managing a chronic condition. And I think equity comes into that sort of thinking as well. And so I think supporting and normalising these work arrangements, whether that's flexibility, whether it's normalising and accepting the contribution of people that work part-time, not just something that women do because they're managing a family as well as a career, but, you know, lots of, you know, women and men might choose to have a work-life balance that doesn't look like a full work week, and we shouldn't diminish their contribution to the workplace because of it. And I'm proud to work for a company that seeks to lead by example through enabling and supporting flexible work arrangements for all employees. And, you know, we've got a really strong female leadership team with 3 out of 5 O'Brien directors being women. So that's something that I really appreciate. So finally, coming back to something I've already touched on, and, you know, Cassie, this is something that Cassie spoke about earlier. As professionals in the transport sector, I think that we've got a responsibility to embrace equity in the solutions we deliver. So we need to ask ourselves, who is using this transport space that, you know, that is our current project? How are they interacting with it? How do they want to interact with it? Is it meeting everybody's transport needs? Are we just catering to a segment? How does this transport link support community connection? Because most of the time, people aren't interacting with the transport network because they're interacting with the transport network. People are interacting because they're on their journey to work, to school, and so we need to remember that transport is about connection. And so how do we facilitate that in a safe, equitable way? And that's really all I've got to say. So thanks for your time and listening, and I hope I made a useful contribution. If you'd like to get in contact, my email address and LinkedIn profile are here, and I'll pass it back to Maddie.
Thank you, Lisa. You made a very valuable contribution. I really appreciate that. I like the equity with the bikes. I think that was really cool. It really, transport themed. That was awesome. And I think it was really cool how you talked about, this what's happening in the system to stop retention of female engineers. Because it's not personal issues. Usually, it's often like what's disabling them from working. So yeah, that was really awesome. So we have some questions in the question and answer box, and I will ask those. But if you have any more questions in the for anyone who's listening, pop them in the Q&A box if you can, and I will start asking them. Sweet. Okay, so the first one is, so this is just for any of the speakers. What do you wish someone had assisted you with or told you when you were starting your career? Or what did someone say that made an impact for you?
I can talk about that one. So I guess when I started my career, I think I got some really good advice from different people, mentors, colleagues, leaders throughout the industry and at university as well. I guess a piece of advice that stuck with me was really to, when you're starting out, just being eager to learn and being ready to sort of continuously learn throughout your whole career. I know when I finished university, I was kind of like, oh my God, I'm done with exams. Like, I don't really want to learn anymore. But then you realize you come into the workforce and you'll need to be learning all the time. And it's really, really great. So I think that's kind of just one hot tip, I guess. And also just like if you haven't finished uni yet, just a heads up that you will probably be learning. And then I guess another thing would just be to really make use of your networks and find opportunities to connect with other people in the industry. I think a lot of my peers from university are now also my colleagues, and really making those connections early on is really great to sort of start branching out. And you'll find that I find the sector is a really supportive like network of professionals, and it will be great. I think it's really great to sort of have that support on a personal and professional level as well. So I think those are probably my two tips.
Yeah, I'll just quickly build on that. That's fantastic, Cassie. I think just on your theme of constantly learning, I remember a mentor years ago said to me, there's two types of people that he observes, and he was, very, very senior, top of his field, and he observed two types of people. One is those who are willing to give it a go, and the other is those who aren't. And you always want to be in the camp of people who are just willing to give it a go, even if you don't know how it's going to end, or you don't know what you're doing, or it's a new field of work entirely. Just coming in with that mindset of being able to learn and absorb new things and ask questions and almost fail is a great thing, and people really respect that. And the second thing he said to me was, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So I guess in a similar vein, always surround yourself with people who know more and you can learn from, and it will just really help develop your career and also develop and hone in where you want to kind of focus your energy and your efforts.
Yeah,
I'll
that
just
was.
say.
Oh, sorry,
Lisa.
Tiffany.
No, you go, Lisa.
I was just going to add, I think I agree with everything that Cassie and Harriet have said so far. And I think also something that Harriet said right at the very start of her presentation was also following your passion. So as you commence and then get into your career, the field is a broad field, and so you find your way through and you find something that you're passionate about, and it really is motivating and inspiring, and so using that as to help guide you through your journey, and learning along the way then becomes easy because you're motivated to learn more about and delve into these topics, and so I think that is part of that too.
Sweet. I was just going to say, I think in the doing category, I've had really supportive bosses and they've been women for the most part, or men that are emotionally intelligent. And so for me, it's been really having the autonomy to be myself and be given the support to do the things that they know that I can do. And I think one thing that a boss imparted on me when I was in a temporary position, and she said, and I was worried about where I was going next, and she said, you're always going to land on your feet, so do not worry about it. So carry that confidence with you and support others. I've entered into a space where there's a tall poppy syndrome. I have no idea why that exists, but support each other. Again, you talk about that network. Having that network of support is going to be really important, and being a network of support for others is really important. So.
Yes, thank you, Tiffany. Welcome to New Zealand. We love a bit of tall poppy syndrome here. Okay, I will just, we've got a little bit of time left. So the next question I have, and I think this is a really important part of the equation, is how have male colleagues been able to support and advocate for your career or other female voices? And how would you like to see men acting in their allyship within the workplace, considering the gender split? And this is, I think, a huge part of, International Women's Day and, gender equity in general. So take it away.
I'll just go back to, the emotional intelligence to understand there are a number of things that can be happening in a woman's life. I am aging up to the menopause. So things like that, just being quite aware that there are a number of things that can affect a woman's work day, work life, performance, and just being, sensitive and aware and providing, I think, when you see opportunities, leadership opportunities that women can step into, even if they can't step into it at the moment, preparing them or being able to give them that opportunity to step into it when it does arise. So I think that having male allies in the space like that, for males to speak your name when you're not in the room or invite you into the room is also quite important. So yeah, I don't think it's hard to think of ways that you can be a male ally, but those are a few.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Tiffany said. I think self-awareness is key if you want to be an ally in the space, and just being curious and asking the questions. So even recently I had a guy who's trying to fix his gender balance. He's got a large team here at Auckland Transport. He's got no female direct reports, and he suddenly, for the first time in about 17 years or whatever in council, realized that that wasn't actually normal, and he wanted to fix it. So in that amount of time, he was never aware that his team wasn't as diverse as it could have been. And to be fair to him, he's come and he's asked, okay, I want to build a pipeline in recruitment that is more diverse. How can I do that in the best way possible? And he's challenged the system. He's gone to the recruiters and said, no, give me a 50-50 shortlist as best you can. Find engineers from all around the world. I don't want to restrict myself to New Zealand. It's really fantastic. And actually, he's really making headway. And he's just appointing his first woman into a senior role in his team next week. So I think there's simple things you can do in that space, just being curious, asking questions, being self-aware. And also, to Tiffany's point, super important. If you're a man in a position of power in this industry, don't just wait for opportunities for women, create them. I've definitely seen this, and I've been, I've benefited from this as well. Just sponsoring a young woman or in any part of the industry into a stretching role and into a new space, and encouraging them early is really important. I think it's a prerequisite actually for any man in this industry to help fix things. So being proactive in that space is very important.
Yeah, thanks, Harriet and Tiffany. I feel like I'm probably going to say quite similar things to what you guys have mentioned, but I guess, yeah, like because our industry, it is comprised of, men and women as well. I think it's really important that we, like in our team environments on a day-to-day basis, we have men really making sure that like women's ideas are heard, like celebrating their achievements and really encouraging them to go for it when you're in a team environment. And another way that I think is really great for especially young women professionals is through mentoring other women in the sector. So this can be men or women, but this can like really putting your hand up to get involved in. I know there's a lot of structured mentoring programs, and often sometimes those ones are dedicated for women students or young engineers, but often the mentors, they usually accept both men and women, because we usually have more female engineers probably earlier in their careers, and then we've got less in leadership. So we sort of need more to put their hand up anyway. And I think for the mentee, for the mentor, it's a really great way to like pass on your knowledge and experience. And then for a mentee, it really helps them gain access to opportunities and cultivates their confidence within this industry.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Harriet, Tiffany, and Cassie have said, and I echo their sentiments. So mentoring is really key, and has been really important to my journey. And I've had some great mentors over the years. And I think something that Tiffany touched on, if a woman is presented with an opportunity and she says, oh, I'm not able to, I'm really interested in that, but I'm not able to right now, not now. If the response is that's taken in by by probably the man that's offered that opportunity is, oh, not interested, then that's a lost opportunity. And like maybe, taking the opportunity to explore that a little bit more and unpack a little bit more, can we create an environment where this would work for you? If you are interested, how do we make this work? Does it look a little bit different to enable you to fulfill that potential? And being open to that, and also being open to, a woman saying, yes, I am interested, but I need a little bit more time and space, and I'm really interested in that opportunity, but it might be a little bit down the track, and actually hearing that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, all four of you. So it's just about time that we wrap up, and Beverly has just posted in the chat as well. ITE has a a mentoring program, and the link's in the chat. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap things up. So thank you so much to our amazing presenters. You guys are amazing, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us all today. I'll just quickly share my screen, and I have fixed the problem with it moving automatically. So just reminding you again, we have free memberships at the moment for transportation planners. So first year free, second year half price, and that gives you, ample opportunity to be able to see what ITE has to offer to transport engineers, but also to planners as well. So definitely jump on board that, because it's such an awesome organization. Our next event is our annual breakfast meeting. So this is in Melbourne. New Zealanders, we can go, but so this is going to be really cool. So we've got Marianne Terrell, and she's going to be our keynote speaker, followed by some networking and some breakfast. So yeah, that'll be really awesome if you're able to go. And then just another thing that I think is really cool to highlight about ITE. So I got the scholarship last year. So I went to the ITE conference in New Orleans, and this is for younger members under 35. You can apply for it. And it just sort of covers most of the expenses to go to the ITE conference. I learned so much, particularly about transportation in America and, North America, so USA and Canada. So would recommend, joining ITE. It's free for planners. And then also, applying for the scholarship. It was such a cool experience, and I really was so grateful to have been, gotten the scholarship. And thank you so much for attending. So I think we've ended on time, which is awesome. And we'll send out the recording later on. So really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much to the speakers again. Okay, bye.